My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of How to Train Your Dragon 2. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But if you know me, you would know that this movie has a very special place in my heart. I'll never forget seeing this movie for the first time in June 2014, and I was blown away by it. This movie affected me in such a way that very few other movies can do. And it was so good that I ended up seeing this movie in theaters 6 times, which is my personal record. And I think it is one of the best sequels ever made. And even though it's a kids' movie, this is a very dark and mature movie. So let's just address the elephant in the room immediately. The scene where Toothless kills Stork is simply put one of the most heartbreaking scenes in any movie ever. Every time I watch this movie, I just want it to go differently, and of course, it never does. Like, it's bad enough that Stork dies, but to have Toothless to be the one who kills him adds a whole new layer of tragedy to it. And then on top of that, the fact that it's kinda Hiccup's fault adds even more to it. It is just a devastating scene. And when Vodka checks his heart rate and realizes he is dead, and Hiccup can't believe what's happening, and Toothless comes and he pushes him away, like shit, you just feel the weight of this moment. And to watch Drago be so cruel to Toothless as he flies off on him just makes you feel like the characters are at the rock bottom. And every time I watch this movie, it just devastates me. It really does. And then to follow that up with the funeral, man, like this movie just delivers in all the emotions. But let's start talking about the cast, and Jay Baruchel as Hiccup is just phenomenal. I legitimately think that this is one of the best voice acting performances of all time. He nails every emotional beat he needed to. His voice is very distinct, he has plenty of personality, and he just excels every second of this movie. I also love how we get a proper evolution of the character. The movie begins and he's made a wingsuit so he can fly alongside Toothless, and he also has this fire sword that also sprays gas. It's just, you've seen this character really mature. There's even that one scene where he's trying to earn the dragon's respect, and he just has it down to a T. So I love that part of this character, but I love how in the first movie he was right about everything, and he improved everyone's life, and he had a real impact. And he carries that same mindset to this movie, and the only difference is that he isn't right here. Drago can't be reasoned with. And that stubbornness, that naive point of view that was looked up to in the first movie, ends up costing Hiccup dearly. And like I said, when his dad dies, it is just devastating. So I like the fact that Hiccup is humbled in this movie. I also like how for so much of this movie, he spends time with his mom, and he's just thinking to himself, I'm just like her. But by the end of the movie, he ends up more like his dad. And I love that one speech he gives. I was always afraid of becoming like my dad, only because I thought I couldn't. I mean, how do you live up to someone so brave and so selfless? I guess you can only try. It's powerful stuff, and I do love how throughout this movie he is running away for from becoming chief, and by the end of the movie he has no choice. He is the chief, he has this responsibility now, and I just think the character writing is top notch. Then we've got America Ferrera as Astrid, and she brings so much life and personality to this character. I love that first scene with them so very much. When Hiccup is telling Astrid about his morning, and she's just like, "Thanks, Dad, I got a whole lot of goofing off to do," and she's just making fun of his mannerisms and his voice, and it's very charming. I also love how during this scene she's making braids in his hair. She just feels like a very real person. But I also love how she's a stronger character and she's loyal and she's just a fantastic character. I really do love what she brings to these movies, and their relationship is just the best. It really is. It feels authentic and it adds emotion to these characters. Then we've got Kate Blanchett as Varka, who I thought brought plenty of weight and gravitas to this character. I love how she is selfish and closed off, but through reuniting with her family, she becomes better by the end. She ends up going back to Bulk with Hiccup, and I just find it to be a very satisfying character arc. And I also love just seeing how similar she is to Hiccup. That one scene where they're flying together and she's just walking on the wings of the dragon, it's just an incredible moment. Gerard Butler as Stoic, I think, does another fantastic job here. I love how we see the softer side of his character. When he sees Varka again for the first time in 20 years, I believe, and she's worried that he might yell, that he might be upset, and he just gently walks up and is just like, "You're as beautiful as the day I lost you." Perfect. Love it. But even the fact that he ends up sacrificing himself for his son, like in the first movie, he is definitely a flawed character, but here we just see how good and how selfless he can be, and it's inspiring stuff. Daejeon Hansu as Drago, I think, brings plenty of weight to this character. He has a very menacing presence, and I love how he likes to paint himself as a tragic character. "Oh, a dragon blew off my arm, so now I want revenge." And then Hiccup is just like, "Well, you're using dragons, so like, doesn't that make you a hypocrite? Seems like you just want power to rule over people." And even he's like, "Okay, you caught me." So I kind of like how he thinks he's more complex than he actually is. He is just a personification of pure evil, someone that can't be reasoned with, and I really do like that. But on the flip side, we get Kate Harington as Eret, son of Eret. I love that. And he's just not a serious villain. Like, technically, he's a bad guy to begin with, but he's not really bad, and I do like how he changes for the better by the end. that one scene of Stormfly saving his life and how much that means to him has enough weight, and I liked what he added to this movie. And then we've got Craig Ferguson, who added plenty of personality and energy to his character. Jonah Hill is amusing. Christopher Mintz-Plasse is quite funny. TJ Miller does a perfectly fine job, and Christian Wig is quite funny as well. They don't have as much to do, but as the funny supporting characters, they do their job. But there's one more character I haven't yet mentioned, and it's Toothless. And I love the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless. That scene early on of like them pretending to fight is just so charming. But I love how this movie actually tests them. The scene where Toothless gets under the control of the Alpha and he kills Stoic, like I said, has so much weight to it. But the scene where Hiccup is trying to bring his friend back, and he puts his hand on him and Toothless regains control. It is no joke one of the most powerful scenes I've seen in a movie. And every time he throws Drago off and he's floating in the air and he starts smiling, it just makes me genuinely so happy. When Hiccup jumps after him and they ride together, it is just perfection. I love that scene. And even when Hiccup blindfolds him and they have to do this as one. It's so satisfying, but then we get the ending where Toothless sacrifices himself to save Hiccup, only for him to like become even more powerful, and to watch him challenge the Alpha to protect Hiccup, it's just so emotionally powerful. Like, as sad as this movie can be, it can also be every bit as uplifting, and it just nails it. It really does. And like, the bond these two characters have is just something so special. And so, yes, I think all of the characters are handled so incredibly well. I love how the story is bigger. We get more environments, more land, there's more stakes, and there's more emotion. It feels like a perfect evolution of the first movie. But then let's talk about the music by John Powell. And this is yet another one of the greatest scores of all time. It has familiar sounds, but it expands upon them so incredibly well, and there's plenty of new music as well. Together We Map the World is one of my favorite pieces of music ever. In fact, whenever I hear it, I just get taken back to the summer of 2014, and I'm oddly very nostalgic for it. Varka's Dragon Sanctuary is another great piece. I love Flying with Mother, Stork's Ship, Toothless Found. Like, the entire soundtrack is phenomenal, but those are the standouts. But this movie also has two original songs, Where No One Goes, and I just love this song. I have so much nostalgic for it, it brings me back to 2014 as well. But that opening scene where Hiccup and Toothless are flying together is pure movie magic. It is why I love movies. And like I said about the first movie, it's just the perfect combination of music and visual storytelling. And it shows you how far these characters have come. But we also get the song for the dancing and dreaming. And this is just a beautiful moment of Stork proposing to his wife yet again. And it's just moving, and I love it. And then we get to the action, and this movie can be very exciting and thrilling when it needs to be. That one giant fight scene just has so much scale and scope to it that it truly feels epic. I also love just how genuinely funny this movie can be. Like, the dragons make me laugh plenty of times, and the animation is just breathtaking. Like I said, we get plenty of new environments and they're brought to life perfectly, but there is just some truly stunning visuals. That fight scene between the two bewildered dragons are just beautiful to look at. Like, it looks real at times. And yeah, like, this movie is just phenomenal. It does everything a proper sequel should. And this part is important. It does it all in just over 90 minutes. All that character work, all that emotion, all that story, all that action, all that humor, all that pure movie magic in 95 minutes. Like, that is so beyond impressive, and it's a movie that has a special place in my heart, and every time I watch it, it just hits every emotional beat it needed to. This is one of the best sequels ever made, and I'm giving How to Train Your Dragon 2 a 9 out of 10. This movie really is that good. But How to Train Your Dragon 2, have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.